Nigeria has continued to witness some of the worst brutal cases of violations of freedom of expressions and civil liberties, especially under this regime. The question now is, in terms of direction for the revolutionary movements, where are we headed?
Hmm. Thank you for your question. It's a long process. And when you say revolutionary movement, that's quite deep. I would rather phrase or rephrase the question, what is to be done? It's deep because the question is just not merely political, but sociological. You are talking of a state that is an inherited artificial state, Nigeria. Unfortunately, the ideals of the creation of that state by the colonialists is still being perpetrated by the inheritors of the Nigerian state. It's a lopsided state. It's a state created to sustain imbalance by way of exploitation. Otherwise, you won't have the regional divide that is so glaring, and then the empowerment or strengthening or propping up of the lesser educated side of the country and empowering them politically. Unfortunately, that's the northern part of the country, and its elites is doing everything not only to take their own region backwards, the people, but entire Nigeria. So you find out that being a poorly run country, people are now being attacked by use of ignorance and religion and poverty as a weapon. How do you break that cycle? Is a great challenge. Well, people have been recommending political education of the people. I wonder how we can get out of the woods seriously. Part of the problem is that despite the zeal, patriotic zeal of people with very big Pan-African, national and Pan-African vision, can the Nigerian state as artificially created and perpetrated, can it continue? This is a very big challenge when we are talking revolution. Most people think revolution is patriotic only when it is nationally encompassing or when it is regionally encompassing. But a situation where the purpose of creation of Nigeria is to exploit them for the benefit of the imperial Britain. Now the inheritors, which are the northern elite, is now perpetrating the same thing to enrich themselves so that if the average Nigerian is even talking about confederalism, confederalism, you find the northern elite, which is in control of the Nigerian state, still opposed to it. Not to talk of federalism. Unfortunately, the Nigerian military and the Nigerian government is a bastard in the sense that you are a bastard in the sense that you claim to belong to a family which indeed you are not, and you must act according to your true origin. So the Nigerian state, Nigerian government, Nigerian civil service, Nigerian soldiery, the military, they are enemies of the people. Instead of being the friend of the civil service, the bureaucracy is the enemy of the people because it's still a colonial inheritance. So we don't have the Nigerian army, we don't have the Nigerian police, we don't have the Nigerian civil service, we don't have the Nigerian central bank because they are anti-masses. So the challenge really is that how do we get our people to understand that the present crop of bourgeois politicians are not actually politicians in the real sense of it. They are extractors because they are practicing extractive economy, drain away and feed themselves, feed themselves, feed themselves, feed themselves. So the challenge is that people are poor. So when if this meeting has been a religious gathering, there will be a lot of people. If it's been a tribal gathering, it's going to be a lot of people. Even if it's a cultural gathering, there's going to be a lot of people. But once socio-political economy, well, it just less people because the African is not connected to that. It's still look at what's happening. When I made that point when I spoke, that when you speak against government officials, section of government is going to defend dogmatically that Malami is not working as a good attorney general. You defend him dogmatically. Hush Poppy's friend, that is
Kiari.
Mr. Kiari, that's so clear to any reasonable person that this person did not act well as a police officer.
It's been
People are defending
defended dogmatically.
dogmatically. So it's and when the Igbos or the Yorubas or any other person, Adakaburu people and all that say we want to live out of Nigeria, how come is the north that is ironically the most impoverished but the richest? It's the only one say want one Nigeria, want one Nigeria. That means there's a problem and the nature of the country. So I would like to say that if there's going to be a revolution for the better, it's going to be sustained, there must be a way to persuade sections of the northern, at least intellectual elite to rebel. So to if you can get a recreation of people like Bukar Cherima and Aminu Kano, if without that, because as much you try to be patriotic, as you want to be patriotic, you want to be pan-Nigeria, but it's clear to look at the young man who's become the head of EFCC, a 40-year-old, there's nothing wrong in that, but are you now saying there are no southerners who have the intellectual capacity? It's and when you go to Lagos office, Owerri office, Ibadan office, 80% are Hausa. So you can't you not be unnecessarily dogmatic if you continue to insist. Oh, the revolution must be pan Nigeria. The okay, look at Sharia. When you fight against mannequin, you fight against alcoholism. When somebody steal a goat, you kill his head. But when you now see the daughters of the rich doing drugs, dressing the way they are doing, the it's an elitist Sharia. So it's actually a weaponization of religion using the masses. So if Baba Buhari is not doing well now, yet he gets to Katsina people hail him. He gets to Maiduguri people hail him. So it's the challenge. So the Nigeria colonial project is still on and it must be broken if we are going to get, for example, you
No, let me
okay,
cut you
I'm so
short.
sorry. All right.
Talking about getting out of the woods, we've had cases of civil disobedience, protests, and occupations on the street. Should the orientation of Nigerians be towards moving in a different directions at this point in time in order to get out of the woods? You talked about political education at the other time, and
There are two ways. Force can be met with force, but at what cost? Apparently, apparently, uh, if you want to do revolution militarily or paramilitarily, it's going to be serious, but it's doable. When people think of South Africa and limit it to Mandela, you will have forgotten of people like Steve Biko. We are talking of 1990 and the 1966 massacre, Sharpeville massacre. You forgotten of people like Albert Lutuli, 1928. The whole African National Congress actually started in 1908. And there were series of repression, series of killings, series of this. But the moment the Africans now rebel to the extent of some taking up arms, it became the game changer. You have to think of the support and impact of countries like Cuba. And you know, they operated at that time of the Cold Era War. And so you still get some military something from, but now it's more of a unipolar world, and the whites that are the grand conspirator against the black for economic reasons. Because let me tell you, the way I understand it, this life is that fish eat fish to get fat. So the black, the continent Africa, is exploited by the West. So all these theories of democracy and all of that, they close their eyes to it too.
So are you advocating for armed struggle at this point in time?
Which this I'm in the middle of that. It's a choice. Then you can, it's a choice. It's going to be costly. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be expensive, and it may look more futile. The other way is to engage in a different form of struggle, but we need, in that case again, you now need the help of the working class, the labor, and that is now operating the sit-at-homes,
Hmm.
the economic freeze, economic withdrawal, don't go to work, sabotaging the economy by not cooperating with the oppressors. Um, Look at the NSAS struggle. As good as it is, there's a missing point somebody highlighted today, the non-support of the working class people. The people who came out were the children of the working class people, but their parents were still supporting government unconsciously because they are still going to work. So these are the ways out. And then the third option, which I'm thinking about seriously now, is the socio-political one. Is unpleasant to the many years of any revolutionary, but to actually seek the balkanization of this country. I've worked in the North for 5 years as a school teacher, teaching English language in the sixth form where my boys were. What was in the school to use as dictionaries was John West dictionary, which we used in primary school. John West. And in out of 150 students that I had that time, only one was prepared to take English literature as a subject. And that one person was an Igbo boy. So,
In the know.
I'm talking of 1985 to 1989 when I worked there. So you have this problem, and look at their attitude. The religion is so weaponized that once somebody is discrediting our religion, when I was there, when you dress like this as a northerner, as a teacher, if you dress like this, your fellow teacher will be calling you kafiri. That Western dressing like this by a northern teacher. This is what I experienced, not that you are telling me. I was in my 20s then. You understand?
Yes.
So we have like a country of Southern of sharp cultural divide. And my students that I taught, many of them, though they are my personal friends now, they still have a mindset influenced by their environment, their own understanding of religion is far different from you as a Southwesterner or Eastern Nigerian and all that kind of. So we have a person. I'm thinking of an idea of not necessarily balkanizing Nigeria, but going to confederalism. Um, Very weak, very weak center, very weak center. Now the West or the East, if they want to merge, they can merge. If the West want to send it on, so that you could at least, I don't have to say, because you can't close your eyes. For example, you say, okay, Sharia is not applicable to me as a Christian, but when I go to dinner, I cannot drink beer. I'm a Christian, I cannot drink beer. It's wrong. And then when you are doing fasting, I'm more or less compared, because everybody will not, but and when you dare not start eating openly as a matter of your right of religious, that you are the one fasting, I'm not the one fasting, I can eat. People will start stoning you in the same country. So I'm trying to think of a situation now where people should now try, do not disdain bourgeois, moderate politics. You can make it more progressive and activist, and now try to get a constitutional basis for referendum on the issue of whether we must continue to stay together or move apart in whatever dimensions and now try and acquire power. So I will use an example of one guy called Babalawo Awale Adedayo, who just become the chairman of Ijebu East. It was about 50s or 53. He used to work with Brigadier Daniel. He left. He's not just captured that local government. And I want to see what he wants to make of that local government. So the activists, we should leave pressure politics, not abandon it, and try to see, not as an isolated forces, whether we can kick off something. These are the three options I have for where we can move forward. Military armed struggle, severe widespread economic struggle, sabotage, economic struggle, or balkanization in diverse dimensions.